Probably the perfect camera for YouTube, the Sony A6400. The A6400 has been my main camera for my other channel for 1.5 years at this point, and has been awesome. Is it a perfect camera? Well, no, of course not. There is no such thing as a perfect camera. But I think this comes as close as possible for under $1,000. Now, first off, you can see this is not just a standard A6400. This is the camera I shoot my videos with my other channel. It is set up with a small rig cage because one of the issues with this camera is the selfie screen. Not for the screen itself, but because of, well, accessories. If you go to put a shotgun mic in the hot shoe, well, you can't see the screen. And really, depending on your shotgun mic, you may not even be able to use the screen. And obviously, if you're a one-man band shooting YouTube videos, it's kind of really helpful to be able to see yourself, make sure you're still in shot, in focus, etc. So I added a small rig cage. They're not expensive. It screws on and adds various points to add, accessories. As you can see, it allows me to see the selfie screen and, well, make sure I'm in focus and all that kind of good stuff. Now let's talk about the focus. When I was researching cameras, and this is one of the reasons why I started this channel, because I watched told hours of camera reviews. And despite many of the channels actually being YouTube channels, one of the things they never talked about was, well, using it as a camera for YouTube. They talk about, taking these cinematic B-roll shots. They talk about, picture quality. And I had to go through, can't tell you, I was sitting there debating between this camera and a GH5. Now, GH5 is a great camera, but it's more expensive. But one of the things about the GH5 that a lot of reviewers did not talk about was their, well, junk autofocus. It sucks. It does not hold focus well, so you have to manually focus. And I move around a lot. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not gonna claim to be a camera expert. I use cameras to, well, film the YouTube videos. The autofocus on a camera is infinitely important to me because I don't have the time to go back and reshoot. So if I come home, find my videos out of focus, I'm screwed. I can't put out those videos. I don't have the ability to reshoot easily, and get them out the next week. So autofocus was hugely important to me. The autofocus on the Sony cameras is just phenomenal. I'm filming right now on an A6400, which is a more expensive camera, and it uses an eye tracker, which I'm looking at, and it's on this eye. This uses a face tracker, but it is just as good. I can go out of focus, I can go out of screen, and it will still have my face in focus, which, considering I'm doing a talking head type video, kind of important. Now, lenses. Now on my A6400, I am using the kit lens, and I actually have 2 of them. When I got my 6600, I went ahead and bought another kit lens for that camera. Why? Because it's a really good lens. It's a good general purpose lens. The kit lens that comes with my A6400 is a Sony 16-50 zoom. Compact lens, it's not huge. Guess what? It does a really good job. Now on my A6600, I do have a Sigma prime lens, which is just one focal length. I thought it would work better for this situation just because, we'll see. I've switched between them, so definitely an option. One of the great things about, well, interchangeable lens cameras is, well, you can change lenses. Now the audio preamps in Sony cameras, the A64 included, are awesome. They're hot. On my A6600, which I'm filming this on, the audio is set very low just for my scratch audio. My Sennheiser system that I use here at the house is too hot for my camera. So that is a concern. You do have to understand that it does have very high preamps, so if you use an audio solution that doesn't allow you to adjust the levels, you may clip. The Rode Wireless Go works great with this camera. It allows me to adjust the audio, it's not huge, and I get great audio out of it. Into the camera. Now, my other channel, I directly record into my camera. I've got one file, I split it out in post, process it, and then recombine it, but it's a great solution. Now, one of the drawbacks to the A6600 is when you're actually filming, if you're trying to do like a vlog style where you're holding the camera, in-body stabilization is not the greatest. It is not the best vlogging camera. So if you're looking for a vlogging camera, you're gonna have a little bit of shake. It's not the best at that. But as far as putting it on a tripod and filming yourself, the color is really good. I don't do any color grading in most of my videos. This is literally what it looks like coming out of the camera. I know some pros will probably go, oh, there's too much this, too much that. It's YouTube. Don't need super film grade, quality colors. It's gonna get compressed for YouTube. It's good enough. A lot of YouTubers will, be pulling out the latest and greatest, Blackmagic 6K, Sony, all those really expensive cameras. You don't need them. It's YouTube. They're nice to have, but you don't need to spend that kind of money. If you're doing talking head style like this, the A6600 or A6400 are just phenomenal cameras for this kind of atmosphere. Colors are good. You're not gonna have any complaints other than if you try to use it as a vlogging camera. If you use it as a vlogging camera, yeah, it's probably gonna be a little shaky. That's its only downside. Now, a couple other little issues that you may have, depending on how you film, where you film, overheating. I've only had this camera overheat on me once, and that was in a hot shop environment, over 100 degrees, after running for an hour. It overheated on me. Battery was about to die anyway, but it did overheat on me. So if you're shooting in a hot environment, in a very direct sunlight kind of situation, you may run into overheating problems. If you're shooting in an air-conditioned office or house or whatever, you should never have that problem. Record limit, there is none. As long as you have battery and media, it will record indefinitely. Now, battery life is gonna be hour 15 minutes or so. Media is obviously up to you, but your limiting factor is going to be your battery. Now, if you're doing a static shot, you can do a dummy battery and power it with a battery pack or something like that if you're planning on doing longer shoots. But for just general YouTube videos, this is great. The A6600, which is the newer model, has a bigger battery. You probably get about 2 hours out of that battery. So very similar cameras, just some upgrades to the A6600, which is why I went with it because, well, it was a newer camera. Image quality, well, you're basically watching the same image that you would see on an A6600, on an A6400. Video is still 4K, whether you're doing an A6600 or A6400. The only difference, between the two as far as video quality is just the autofocus, whether it's eye autofocus or facial autofocus. Both work well, but you know, your mileage won't vary because it's phenomenal for, well, any camera. So definitely one of the best YouTube cameras out there. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, hit record, hit upload, and this is Creator Hardware.